This morning, I was using a water filter that I've had for a couple weeks and I was filling it up. I've had this thing for a little while now and I thought it was poorly designed because the top pops off really easily and I'd been taking the whole filter out to fill it up every time that I wanted more water in it. Well, this morning I realized when the pop topped off that that was actually how it was meant to be designed and used, is that you're not supposed to take the whole filter and entire thing out when you fill it up. You just pop this little top off. And so that's why it was so easy for this thing to just come off. Now, the entire time I had been using this thing, I was wondering, why didn't they connect these better? Uh, it didn't make any sense to me. And so I had been using this thing improperly the entire time and thinking that it was a fault with that design. Now, what's interesting about this is that obviously, I'm sure you don't care about my stupid little water filter and how that affects your life in absolutely no way. But what I realized was that this was actually an analogy for how all of us can approach our lives when circumstances like this pop up. So I had had this idea in my head that there was something wrong with this water filter and that there was a better way to design it. But I was trying to stay open. And this morning, when I realized that there was actually nothing wrong with the water filter and that it was my perception of it and the way that I had been using it, I realized that, oh, this is actually a way that all of us can look at circumstances in our life that come up like this. And when something quote unquote goes wrong, it's actually a chance for us to change our behavior or our attitude or even our habits, because I had been using this water filter in the wrong way. And well, from now on, I'm just going to pop the top off as opposed to trying to take the whole filter out. And so, how many times in our lives do we have situations like this show up where it seems like something's going wrong and we just have a negative attitude about it and say, why does this stuff happen to me? This stupid water filter, why can't they get this designed right? But if we're able to stay open and consider that, okay, maybe this circumstance in my life is actually trying to show me something, and it's a chance for me to change my behavior around this. Then we can start to use these seemingly um, negative situations in our lives to change ourselves, as opposed to, I wouldn't be able to change this water filter if I wanted to. I might be able to write their customer service and say, hey, why don't you change this, blah, blah, blah. And maybe down the line, they would eventually make an update to it. But at least for the immediate future, there's nothing that I could have done. But by me reframing this in my mind and changing the way that I look at this water filter, it was actually a good thing for me when I realized, oh, I've been doing this all wrong the entire time. Now I can have a more efficient way of filling this up and not get mad when this actually nice nice filter pops the top off easily and I don't have to actually pull this whole big filter out of it. So that's one way of changing our lives when, again, these negative, or it feels like something that goes wrong in our life comes up. We can use it as an opportunity to start looking at ourselves, and if maybe there's something else that we could potentially do to change the situation. Now, taking this a step even further, when we start to look at these challenges in our life that come up like this, and granted, this is definitely a first world problem to be complaining about my little water filter, so I realize it's not that big of a deal. Again, this is more of an analogy for things bigger in our life that come up. This just happened to be the thing that I went through this morning, so I'm talking about it now. But we can use situations and challenges like this in our lives, and we can start to reframe them from the very beginning as opportunities. Now, when we start doing this, it changes our lives significantly because we're no longer at the mercy of these negative events and feeling sorry for ourselves and complaining that there's something wrong in the world. We say, how can I do something differently to optimize this situation? What is it that maybe I'm doing wrong and that life or whatever is trying to teach me in this specific circumstance for how I can change? This is really dramatic, and it's something that I've been going through quite a bit recently, is trying to reframe these challenges as opportunities. Now, it's not always easy to do at first, and I definitely find myself getting pissed off initially, usually. But with a little bit of time and a little bit of space, I'm finding that I'm able to come quicker to these realizations of, okay, how can I use this challenge as an opportunity? Again, this is a work in practice. It certainly doesn't change overnight, but it sure does change my entire outlook on life, because no longer am I the victim of life trying to put me down and come up with these situations that just bring me more suffering, but life is actually beginning to conspire in my favor because these things show up and they're an opportunity to learn something or change a behavior or at least change my mindset. I'm not saying every time this is going to happen or that we're going to be successful, but it is certainly one of the biggest life lessons that I've been picking up recently. And so I wanted to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye.